What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video we're going to learn how to work with cookies in Flask, so let us get right into it. Alright, so we're going to talk about cookies in Flask today, and cookies are essentially just small pieces of data stored in your browser on the client side that can be used by the server for a number of different use cases. So for example, to keep you logged into the server, to keep you logged into the service, to do some marketing analytics activities, so to keep track of your activities so that they can use it for analytics and marketing purposes if you give them your consent. At least in the EU, you have to give them your consent. Cookies can be used in a number of different ways. The principle or the basic idea is always the same. You send a request to the server sends you a response, for example, an HTML page, alongside with the instruction to set a cookie with a certain name and a certain value in your browser. And then the next time you send a request to the server, you're going to transmit that cookie information, which can again be used to keep you logged in, because in the cookie you have the information that it's still that session, it's still that person, so you don't need to ask for credentials again, or you have the identifier, okay, it's still that person, so I can associate what they're doing with the last thing that they did, so I can create a profile if they give me consent, something like that. That's the basic idea behind cookies. So we're going to learn how to do this in Flask today. And for this, of course, we're going to have to install Flask. So pip install Flask in the command line. And once we have that, we're going to just say from Flask import Flask with a capital F, make response and request. We're going to create a simple app with underscore name underscore. And we're going to have two basic endpoints for this first script. I'm going to then also provide you with a more sophisticated example. I mean, sophisticated is maybe too large of a word, but a little bit more complex example here, or at least a little bit more useful example. Let's put it that way. But for now, we're just going to have two endpoints. The first one is going to be new underscore cookie. And it's basically just going to be a function new cookie, and it's going to set a basic cookie, which is going to just have a random value, and we're going to be able to read that value and show it, and we're going to also see it in the browser. So we're going to say here that our response that we want to send is going to be a new response. We're going to create it with the make response function. Hello world, for example, would be the response that we want to send. So this would be the HTML code. This would be whatever we want to actually send to the client as a response. And we can also set in the response, or we can also add to the response an instruction to set a cookie in the browser. So we're going to say response.set cookie. And here we provide a key value pair. Let's call it my cookie and my value. And then we're going to say return response. And then we're also going to have a second endpoint, which is going to be the endpoint show cookie with the same function show cookie here. And then we're going to just say get the cookie value from the request. So we're going to say cookie value equals request. Remember, we get the instruction to set a cookie from the response, and after this, we send the cookie value with each request. So the request is going to contain the cookies, and one of the cookies is going to have the name my cookie if it's set before, and then we can just return that cookie value. So let's go ahead and say if underscore name equals underscore main underscore, and then app.run, debug equals true. Host is going to be a local host, and a port is going to be, I don't know, 4 times 9. So that is a very basic example. Let's run this and see what happens. Run the app, open this in localhost here or in Firefox. Now, the reason we don't get anything here is because we don't have a default URL, which is just slash. So we have to actually navigate to slash new cookie. Or actually, let's first go to show cookie to see that we're not going to get anything here. So we don't have a valid response because we don't have a cookie yet. But if I go and say new cookie, first of all, let me open up here the developer tools, because what you're going to see here is, first of all, in the storage, we don't have any cookies here. So in Firefox, if you open up F12, you're going to see we don't have any cookies here for localhost. And also we can look at the network activity. If I now go to new cookie, you can see here that I get this 200 status response. And you can see what this looks like. So this is the response I get, or actually, is this the response? Yeah, I think this is the response I get from the server. Status 200. I also get the information that I want, hello world. So the actual response is hello world, but the header of the response is this. And you can see here we have the set cookie field, my cookie equals my value. So this now, if I go to the storage tab here, cookies, is going to be listed here, my cookie, my value. You can see that this is the cookie being set here, and then I can go to show underscore cookie, and you can see my value is what I get in return. Now I can also, since this is all client side, it's not on the server, I can just change the value here in my browser to something else. And then when I call this, you can see something else is being loaded. So this is not information on the server. This is information on my client that I send to the server, and the server then does something with it. So for example, keeps me logged in or makes certain decisions based on the cookies. So again, the use cases are quite versatile. So that is the basic principle. Now let us go ahead and look at a more useful example. It's still going to be very trivial and simple, but we're just going to have remembering the name of the user. So we're going to say we want to have a route /, which is just the default route, and we're going to have a simple function here, which is going to be the index function. And here we're just going to say saved name equals request.cookies.get, and we're going to look for a name in saved name. Now, by default, it's not going to be there. So we're going to then say return. For this, we're going to need an additional import, render template, return render template index.html. Now, it would probably make sense to define a template folder, templates, and to then create this index.html inside of that directory. We're going to take care of this here in a second. So this is going to be the index.html, and it's going to take a parameter. We're going to pass the saved name to that index file. And then we also want to have two other endpoints. We're going to have the endpoint, which is going to be save name. It's only going to accept post requests. And we're going to save the name here. So what we're going to do is we're going to post to that endpoint, and this endpoint is then going to set this cookie. So we're going to say name. We're going to get it from a form. The form is going to be part of the index.html file, which we're going to create here in a second, or we're going to implement here in a second. So request form. In that form, we're going to have a field name. And this is going to be our name. And then what we want to do is want to say response, make response, formatted string. We will now remember your name, and then name, and then just response dot set cookie, and then the field is saved name. So the key is saved name, and the value is going to be name. Then we return that response. Same principle. We set a cookie, and here we get the cookie. And then finally, we're going to also have an endpoint delete cookie. So of course you can also delete cookies on your browser in general by just deleting cookies, clearing browsing data. But also you can get the instruction to delete a cookie by the server, a specific cookie. So essentially what this does is we have a function delete cookie here, and we're going to say response equals make response. We will no longer remember your name, or something like that. And then response set cookie. We set the same cookie name, saved name. But this time we set it to an empty string, and we say expires equals 0. So it's going to expire. It's not going to be valid anymore. And we're going to return this response here. That's the basic idea. Again, we're going to have this if name equals main section here, app run, debug equals true, host equals localhost, and port equals 4 times 9. Now, for the index file, it's going to be just a simple form. So we're going to say here something like hello world in the title, and then we're going to just say I want to have a simple form. The action is going to be /save name, so the endpoint that takes the post request, this one here, and the actual the method is going to be post, obviously, because it only accepts post requests. And here we're going to have a simple input type text. The name is going to be name. Name is what we use to identify fields in the form. So whatever we set here as the name is going to be what we have to work with here, what we have to get here. And placeholder is just going to be your name, something like this. And then we're going to have a simple input type submit. Come on, type equals submit. And the value is going to be save name. Caps lock, come on. Save name. There you go. And above that, we want to have also a simple link. So basically an anchor tag with an href going to delete name or delete cookie, delete name cookie or something like this. And then what we also want to do is we want to have a line break here twice. And the important thing is, of course, we want to have a greetings message. So we want to have hello, and then we want to have this Jinja template here. We're going to say if, or actually we're going to say saved name, which is what we passed here. Remember, when we rendered a template, we passed a saved name here. We want to have hello saved name, provided that the saved name is not none. Else, we want to just have stranger here. That's the basic idea here. And we want to have an exclamation mark. Now I noticed I just made a mistake. Of course, I cannot use these percentage signs here. I have to use double curly brackets like this. And that should be it. So now we should be able to run this. And we get, hopefully, there you go, hello stranger, because we don't have a name cookie yet. And now I can say my name is Florian. We will now remember your name, so I can go back to the start page. There you go. It remembers my name. I can also change it to Mike. Then I can go back, and then I can also delete the cookie, and I'm a stranger again. So this is how you work with cookies in Flask. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.